The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy. You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. We are live to tape on this Friday, October 14th, 2022, episode number 547. Today, Q DAO. My name is Gonz, your favorite Asian provocateur for Christ, aka the Cabana Boy, live from California, here to serve you a podcast that brings you the best news, which is the gospel message of Jesus Christ, while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events. And today's emergent phenomena, dovish. I'm dovish. I'm not hawkish. If you're not aware, the Fed, the federal, the feds, they raise rates, they drop rates, they control the economy. And when they're projecting for good things, they say they're dovish. When they're projecting bad things, they say they're hawkish. I'm sort of taking that and not applying it to the economy, but rather to the show, because I'm optimistic about this show and this episode, even though I am running solo once again, hopefully for the last time in a while. But we also have Sir Dove, Knight of Respeltia, who's got his fingerprints all over the show, which, of course, he's got a meetup that he is co-hosting coming up this weekend. So appropriate. But let's cover the stuff real quick. The rundown of what we're going to be talking about today. And again, Basil's not here, but here's the rundown jingle.
Oh, look, here's Basil.
Let me bring you up to speed.
All right. So today we're going to start off with Tucker Carlson and his report on a guy named Fetterman. Some interesting developments there in the realm of politics. We're also going to do a FLIPPY update concerning, it's an update. The basketball robot, Q. That's C-U-E, not the letter Q. But It'll be a good update because it's going into some different directions there. And then we're going to do, there's a lot of technology and science intertwined with the world and the world news, as we're going to talk a little bit about cryogenics. We've covered it before. I put it in the documentary Age of Deceit 2 a while ago, but we're here talking about it again. And some more technology, science-based system type of stuff that we will cover. And then we'll get into DAOs. I know everybody loves crypto around here. And the talk of decentralized autonomous organizations is something that I think deserves a little bit more attention, especially in the world of the micronations that we're all starting to form here. And then we'll do a little bit of a pandemic update, a new respiratory or cases of RSV starting to rise in an interesting number of states in this country. And then also we'll talk about how it's illegal for doctors to disagree with politicians in California. It's kind of a Newsom science update / COVID / misinfo, all that stuff. Another quick COVID update. And then we will get into the lab, the underwater laboratory in the Arctic Ocean. And again, interesting number of feet that the I don't know, the container, no, the laboratory sits under in the water. But all right, yeah, let's just dive right in. We're going to kick it off with some transhumanism.
Are you ready to become cyborg?
About 10 years ago, maybe a little bit more, when we were launching all this stuff, Face Like the Sun blog and the YouTube channel, I did so because I was trying to bring up the topic of transhumanism with fellow churchgoers, friends, family. Nobody seemed to know what I was talking about. And I just kept bringing up like, hey, technology, man, merging, have you looked at anything biblically, scripturally that might discuss those issues? Nah, don't worry about it. That's never going to happen. It's something that you don't have to worry about. Just skip that last part of the Bible there. It's all crazy talk, John the Revelator and probably hallucinating on an island somewhere. That's the kind of vibe I was getting. So I wanted to present my case about how this topic of transhumanism is quickly approaching society and how the Word of God actually does have a good explanation for the ultimate end or the ultimate outcome of these developments. So, of course, I can't have that conversation anymore. Actually, no, I can. But the content that myself and Basil through Canary Cry and many others, not just us, there's many others, who have documented these topics throughout the last decade, we've, of course, been pretty well suppressed, silenced, if you will. And so it's interesting to me now when the topic comes up in conversation through the likes of Tucker Carlson. So I have a couple clips here from Tucker Carlson, the show, obviously he's on Fox, and he was reporting on a guy named John Fetterman. I don't know that we've specifically talked about John Fetterman, but you'll get an idea of his whole deal in this first clip here from Tucker Carlson.
John Fetterman is a trust fund kid. He took money from his parents deep into middle age when he decided finally what he would like to do with the rest of his life, which is to be the U.S. Senator from Pennsylvania. The problem is fate intervened and he can now no longer speak. He had a bad stroke and we feel bad about that. Everyone does. But because of that stroke, Fetterman now needs electronic assistance in order to communicate with other people. He can't talk on his own. It's not a right-wing conspiracy theory. It's not QAnon.
QAnon.
It's real. In fact, it's so real, his campaign concedes that it's real. That it's true. Fetterman uses a software program to understand the words of those around him and to formulate his responses to those words. In other words, to talk. Now, to be perfectly clear, this software is not a hearing aid. Fetterman doesn't need a hearing aid because he isn't deaf. He's not hearing impaired. Instead, this program takes words and then rearranges them into language that John Fetterman can understand because his brain can no longer do that for him. Now, that's sad for transhumanists, though. It is thrilling. This is an amazing moment. This is Neil Armstrong on the moon. Here you have one of the most famous politicians in the country merging with a computer. This is the future they imagine. They're thrilled by it. But for everyone else, for the voters of Pennsylvania, for example, it does raise some obvious questions. For example, where exactly does the software end and John Fetterman's consciousness begin? We don't know. We can't know. But it's obvious that Pennsylvania could very well be sending a computer program to the U.S. Senate where inevitably it will be hacked.
I love the context of it's always about getting hacked. It's not really, don't worry about the implications eschatologically. It's about, we're going to get hacked. Russia is going to hack John Fetterman. So, this is interesting. So this guy, John Fetterman, wanted to become a politician, trust fund baby, as Tucker Carlson was reporting there. And he had a stroke. He lost the ability to understand and formulate words, I guess. And so he is plugged into this software that allows him to read what somebody says in, I guess the way he understands words, but then also formulate his thoughts. And it was really interesting because, and Tucker Carlson even brought it up during his interview or his report here, not his interview, but his report. He basically said, hey, we're just trusting that there's not anybody in the back room, typing out what John Fetterman should say. And certainly, that's part of the concern. We don't know for sure. This might be a big game of Wizard of Oz, for all we know out here. But also, it became the conversation of the woke left progressive. They were the ones saying, hey, don't question his abilities. Would you judge someone who is deaf because, his ability to govern because he's deaf? And it sort of works right into that formula that we've seen being established for the last 15, 20 years, this hyper progressivism, this left wokeism, whatever you want to call it, that just creates victimization. And so, you're a victim of something. Therefore, hey, go ahead, do the thing you want to do. Doesn't matter if you're good at it, bad at it. It doesn't matter if there are societal or national or worldwide consequences. It's about, your opportunity. Just, let him do it. And so, all the criticisms, the logical sort of criticisms that would come out of something like this were there. And I found it even more interesting that Tucker Carlson on Fox News would quote or play in a sit-down interview that aired on NBC News. Fox, NBC, direct competitors, but when it comes to cybernetic politicians, they can play each other's clips and talk about it. And, Tucker even acknowledges they're a rival, but I wanted to play the clip because, rival being NBC, but wanted to play the clip because he wanted to show the interviewer here talking about how before the interview, they couldn't really have a clear conversation. It didn't seem like John Fetterman understood the small talk. It wasn't until the interview started and the computer program in front of him that he was able to have a coherent conversation. And that's beyond just his disability and the computer software helping him organize his thoughts and speak and all that kind of stuff. Aren't we just as a society moving in that direction where nobody wants to have a conversation unless they have Google ready, hey, Goog that fact or whatever, look it up. We're at a point where it's not weird or crazy to almost desire any kind of fruitful conversation to take place with the access of the largest database in the world, the worldwide brain information highway. So I found it interesting. So this is actually the clip from the NBC interview with John Fetterman that Tucker clipped out, and I'm clipping it here. I know it's all meta. It's all many layers to this whole thing, but I wanted to play it just so you get an idea of the interviewer, and the way, of course, this is all edited. So, who knows how long it took Fetterman to respond. And the other thing I found interesting on the Fox News report on the chyron at the bottom, it doesn't say Fetterman. It says Fetterneck. Fetterneck reads questions from a machine. And I don't know if that's like a burn. Oh, you think you're a Fetterman? No, you're a Fetterneck. Or is, I don't know what that is. But anyway, that's what it says. And here's the clip from NBC News.
Can voters trust that you will be able to do this job on day one?
Yeah, of course.
So you say you're on the road to full recovery, but right now, voters really have to take your word for it. We've asked for your medical records. We've asked to have a conversation with someone from your medical team, to interview your physician. You've declined those requests. Why?
Well, I feel like we have been very transparent in a lot of different ways. When our doctor has already given a letter saying that I'm able to serve and to be running.
I mean, respectfully, that letter from your physician, that was 6 months ago. Don't voters deserve to know your status now?
Being in front of thousands and thousands of people and having interviews and getting around all across Pennsylvania, that gives everybody and the voters decide, if they think that it's really the issue.
Yeah, as long as you can get in front of everybody, thousands of people, and speak your mind, as long as you're hooked up to this computer machine thing. Yeah, people should be able to decide on their own. And man, I see a story like this, the mainstreaming of the topic of transhumanism to this degree, where it's going into politics, and it just makes me think, like, wow, number one, the desensitization of society, especially American culture, has worked. All the sci-fi, you couldn't really do this. Well, you probably could, but just less. It'd be a bigger deal pre-Trump. Like post-Trump, think about this. A Trump story about Q or January 666 or whatever, that's more tantalizing to people than the guy who's like literally merging with a machine to try to run for a place in politics. That's where we are. It's this thing with the guy connected to a machine would have been nonsense if you said to somebody 10 years ago, like, hey, there's going to be a politician. He's going to try to run for office, for Senate. But here's the thing. He had a stroke. Head wound? Mortal head wound? No, not a stroke yet. But yeah, so there's going to be a guy, he's going to want to run. He's trying to run for Senate, but because of the stroke, he can't really understand words. So he just connects himself to a machine and the computer just does it for you. And that this is the guy that people are going to talk about. People would have looked at you like you had three heads. And I'm sure many of you listening had that experience. So, again, it's just one of those things where we can humbly say,
Called it.
Because the fact of the matter is most people can't handle the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
There we go. All right. Well, let's see. What day is it today? Oh, it's Friday.
It's Friday. Keep playing with the Friday thing.
You're gonna learn today.
Cause it's Friday. You ain't got no job. And you ain't got shit.
Are you not entertained?
Hey, good days. It's Friday. It's Friday.
You may be asking if Basil is ever going to return. Yes, he will. He missed an appointment with a vehicle that would have taken him to a location that may have had better access to a more robust internet to be able to plug in and join us live today. But it didn't happen. Missed the vehicle. He was trying, he jumped for it, reached for it. No, I think my guess is he slept in or something, It's difficult when you're on a different time stream, Time is a flat circle. You can be at different points of the circle relative to the center, and you don't know what's going on anymore. And you can maybe oversleep or something. But just for to take note here, we have Cody Geddon, the world eater, little dog Cody. He's here, so he may make himself known at some point during the episode. But here we are. We're Friday. It's Friday. We're here, and we're going to keep doing a show anyway. I do have a pretty hard out today, but I think we'll get through all the things we need to get through. But I am excited to present some executive producers right here at the top.
Executive producers.
Yeah, so we work off of a value for value model here at Canary Cry News Talk, which means we don't do advertisements. We don't do sell mail enhancement products or any products for that matter. We like to do things independently. We like to keep it grassroots, and we like to keep it, I guess, pure and uncorrupted by the corporations and the billions, millions, billions, and trillions of dollars that circulates through the beast that is podcasting these days. You know, it's another one of those things. 10 years ago, oh, I'm doing a podcast. Oh, what's a podcast? Now it's like, hey, I do a podcast. Oh, everybody has a pod. Yeah, what are you doing? Got to move on. Don't be a podcaster. You got to be a TikToker. Oh, the world changes so quickly. But anyway, we don't want those things to influence what we say or our thoughts or our opinions on various things going on in the world. So we just let you guys produce, the listeners. And for those who come in with, you can come in with your time, talent, or treasure. But we like to thank at the top of the show here people that come in with a little extra boost. The executive producers, they come in with $100 or more, very generous. And we have 3 people coming in at the top here to thank. First up, we have Jackie A. Thank you, Jackie A. Came in with $1, $2, $3, and 20 cents. And Jackie A. actually, oh, that's Cody. Okay. Jackie A. left us a voice message. So let me play that for you all, which, by the way, if you go to canarycrynewstalk.com, click on the green button, either on the right side or the bottom, depending on what device you're on. It'll prompt you a little pop-up window where you can record and leave us a message up to 90 seconds. And so here's Jackie A's message to us as part of her executive producership.
Hi, Basil and Gonzo. This is Jackie, Alphonse. Last time I left you a message, everything was wrong. I got second-degree burn. My dog was sick. My sister was sick. I lost my job. But I had promised myself that as soon as things get better, that I will leave you a voicemail with an update. Everything is great. I'm healed. I have a good job now. And my dog is better. My sister is healed. So thank God. And I really appreciate all the Canary Cry family. Thank you so much, guys, for all your prayers. Just know your prayers do work. So don't stop praying for each other. And I also would love to hear updates from everyone. I've been praying for Dave for his cancer treatment. I've also been praying for Malik and for our sister who had lupus. I'm so sorry I forgot her name. And praying for Gail. So it would be nice to hear an update from everyone. But I am 100% sure that Jesus is hearing our prayers. I pray for all the Canarians every day. Actually, my sister also prays with me. We love you so much, guys. Basil and Gonzo, and we were praying for you, Basil, to heal. So I hope you're doing better. And I always pray that God would provide for you and give you more and more. And I will try to support as much as I can. But know that you are in my prayers always, and that I pray for every family member in the Canary Cry Radio twice a day. Love you guys. The show is awesome as always. I say bye. Bye.
Thank you so much, Jackie A. Appreciate it.
Hallelujah.
Good to hear that you're well. And, this is just amazing. The vibrancy of the community praying for each other. This is what it's all about here. We do talk about all the news and the breakdown and do all that. And that's sort of the reason why we all gather. But really, it's the communal feeling here, the actual community of Canarians looking out for each other. Doesn't matter where you are in the world. That's what makes this space so amazing, so great. So thank you so much, Jackie A., our first executive producer for episode 547.
Where'd you find this?
Where did we find this? Next up, we have Ashley S. Thank you, Ashley S. Came in with 102.67. Sounds like a radio station. Appreciate it. I did not see a note from Ashley S. So, Ashley, if you did send a note, I am sorry. I didn't see it. I didn't see it in the thing. Let me just double check real quick. Yeah, I'm not seeing one. But yeah, thank you so much. We appreciate your executive producership.
Where'd you find this?
And to round out the trifecta of executive producers, we have Sir Darren Knight of the Hungry Pandas on a 58 episode streak. Came in with 111.11. Thank you very much. And he has a note. It's Friday.
It's Friday. There you go. Keep playing with the Friday thing.
Thank you so much for all your hard work on the supply drop, and especially thank you to Isaac G. Yes, thank you, Isaac G. He's the rock star making all the supply drop stuff happen, facilitate the logistics. The stuff looks great and was a lot of fun to help with some of it. Have a great day. Thank you very much, executive producer Sir Darren Knight of the Hungry Pandas.
Where'd you find this?
And yeah, so there you go. We truly appreciate it. The three executive producers for today, I feel like it makes up for, a couple of those episodes where we didn't have any executive producers. So it makes me feel all warm and fuzzy. Appreciate it. God bless all of you. And then just real quick, we did, I didn't know where to put this because sometimes, we get artwork that's more meme-ish. So, I'll do it now because it's sort of relevant to what's happening. This is from Caleb, producer Caleb, and he made a little meme here of a guy on a beach, on a hammock, just relaxing. And the caption says, "What Basil is actually doing when he misses a show." Palm tree emoji and coconut emoji and some kind of, I don't know what that is. A happy fruity drink emoji. Cocktail emoji. Maybe this is why he missed his appointment with the vehicle that was supposed to take him to a different location. So I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't think so. I don't think he's just lounging on a hammock, but I'm okay with everybody thinking that that's what he's doing. Because I always felt like Basil's kind of like a little brother to me. Kind of, he's physically bigger than me, but I just, I've had that because I'm a little older. And so it's always fun to frustrate him on certain things. And this is one of those things that would frustrate him, everybody thinking, Basil, why are you so lazy, man? Why are you just hanging out? Why aren't you trying harder to do the show? No, he's working hard. He's doing things. He's out there making things happen. And unfortunately, the technology that's supposed to, get guys like Fetterman a position in the Senate, the connectivity of the world, not quite where it should be, or not quite where things ought to be if we're going to literally have politicians depend on the network to speak. But there you go. And also, just real quick, I do want to mention, where is my little button thing? Yes, here we go. Meetups.
Canary Cry Meetups.
Yes, the meetup that I want to mention is happening tomorrow. Bald Eagle State Forest, Pennsylvania, October 15th. Contact, it says Sir Salmons here, but I think it's Dove. Sir Dove or Sir Salmons at dovemirari@gmail.com. You can go to canarycrymeetups.com to see the flyer and the email. And 3 hours from Pittsburgh, 4 hours from Cleveland, 3 hours from Baltimore, 3.5 hours from Buffalo. And you're going to have a bunch of random giveaways. Sir Dove will be there. The Salmons will be there. Looks like it's going to be a great time. And so, you see another reason that this episode is very dovish. I'm telling you, very dovish show. So there you go. see you at the meetup, and we'll talk more about other meetups later on.
This is fun! See you at the meetup.
Okay, what are we doing? Is it time for a Flippy update?
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
It is time for a Flippy update. Flippy is the colloquial name for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. We take the topic of Flippy, we report on it to discuss how the robots are taking over everything and how there's nothing we can do about it until Jesus comes back. Yeah, I wonder what's going to happen to all those robots. Is it going to be just, merged into kingdom robots? Or do we not need them anymore? I tend to think we don't need robots in eternity, but, who knows? What do I know? And the dovishness of this episode continues because we've reported on this in I think it was summer of 2021 during the Olympics. CUE, the basketball playing robot, was presented to the world, and it was, hitting 3-point shots, 27 feet from the basket, swishing it, perfect aim. And for those of you watching, we have the Dove art from episode 370. That was back on August 2nd of 2021 of, you got Black Rock Shapiro in the background. I love it. Canary swole. He's on fire. And yes, this Q robot is dunking upon the U.S. players. And this is a Q update. That's right. CNN. After perfecting 3-pointers, this basketball robot is learning to dribble. Ooh. Now that it can hit shots, let's teach it to dribble. At nearly 7 feet tall and weighing 240 pounds, CUE, has biometrics, a lot like the average basketball players. Biometrics, huh? But CUE isn't a sports star in the conventional sense. It's a hoop-shooting AI-powered robot. And it gets into how he was presented at the Olympic Games. CUE, which uses a sensor in its chest to calculate the angle and power required for each shot, originated as an amateur robotics project in 2017, and it achieved the quote-unquote impossible by appearing in a halftime show at the Olympics. Nomi says. Nomi is the leader of the development team behind CUE. That's Tomohiro Nomi and other. So I guess he's part of the Toyota robotics team there. However, after landing more than 2,000 consecutive shots in a world record attempt, shooting hoops has become too easy for the sporty android. Oh, shooting 3-pointers, too easy to spice things up. The team is teaching the robot to dribble and hope future iterations will have, quote, the same range of motion and flexibility as humans, says Nomi. Oh, man. As a kid growing up, watching basketball, I was always intrigued by, I watched kind of the tail end of Michael Jordan. But really when I was starting to understand what was happening, it was like the early 2000s, there was Kobe Bryant and there was a guy named AI, ironically, right? His name was Allen Iverson, but he went by AI. And, he has this famous moment where he crosses over Michael Jordan and it was really this herky-jerky kind of street ball type thing. It's the way they moved, their footwork and everything else that made this new brand of basketball so flashy and so cool. And so for this Japanese team that's making these robots to be like, 3-pointers, we've mastered that. What do we do next? Oh, we turn him into a ball handler. We turn him into one of the guys that can really make things happen off the dribble, off the move. Okay, back to the article here. It goes into some other details. We don't have to go through everything here. But the team had to reduce the time needed to set up the next show. Oh, it's talking about the world record. He made 2,020 consecutive shots, which was the world record, a number that was chosen to celebrate the Tokyo 2020 Olympics over 6 hours and 35 minutes. And so that was the record they broke. That still doesn't beat the human record of 5,221 free throws set in 1996, but Q's development team note that they deliberately cut the attempt short due to time restraints, as record officiators cannot take breaks, swap, or leave. And what I have to say to that, look out, officials, world record officials, Guinness World Record officials. If you can't take breaks or swap in or do something, how are you gonna be there to officiate real life world records? See where this is headed. Even the guys officiating these world records will become robots, because robots don't need breaks. They don't need to swap anything out or leave or do anything. So it's a little indictment there. And it's almost like mocking human officiators. You know, it's like, humans needs break, swaps, leaves. So there you go. And part of the issue with the 2020 consecutive shots, it took too long between shots. That's why they stopped it at 2020 in 6 hours. You know, they would have been there for another 6 hours if, it's still, 12, 13 hour shift. Come on, officiator. You couldn't do it. You couldn't keep track for 13 hours and they couldn't have a handoff or something. Anyway, I think it could have been done, but yes, that was part of the reason. It took too long between shots. Got to pick up the ball, got to aim, got to do all that. As the robot evolved, so did its height and weight. It is now 9 inches taller than its shortest iteration and nearly twice as heavy as its lightest. An added weight is a disadvantage, says Nomi, and the team would like to make it lighter. However, he adds that they have, quote, prioritized functional evolution in the limited time available over a nimbler body. Okay, so let's just take care of the functional evolution, and then we'll get to the nimbler body thing. And so it talks about Q5, which was unveiled at the 2020 Olympics. Quote, we would like to try shooting from even further distances in the future. For example, from the 3-point line on the opposite court. That's like, what is that? 65 feet or something? Or from the free throw line, says Nomi. The team is still honing Q's dribbling ability, but this new skill presents a world of possibilities. Their next goal is to get Q6, number 6, Q6, a spot at the 2023 B-League All-Star Games Skills Challenge, which tests players' speed and precision in dribbling, shooting, passing, and obstacle navigation. The team aims for the droid to complete the test in 1 minute, which is on par with the average time of top athletes. You really got to look out. This guy's really coming. And, basketball being the skill sport that it is, better watch out. However, this new mission brings, quote, a mountain of challenges, according to Takayoshi Tsujimoto, the team's development manager, who said in a statement that, quote, whereas a shot essentially flies in a parabolic arc, a pass must take a more direct course. The team now needs to double the speed that the current version of Q runs at, especially whether one or two-handed throws work better, or establish whether one or two-handed throws work better, as well as add zigzag running motions and obstacle sensors, Tsujimoto adds. And the team don't have long. Q6 is expected to debut at the Alvark Tokyo home game on December 24th, 2022, says Nomi. All right, Christmas Eve this year, Q6 is going to be making its appearance, its debut at the Alvark Tokyo home game. While robots cannot yet mimic human movement, Nomi anticipates technological advancements that will get them closer to that goal. The team hasn't looked at specific industrial applications for the technology yet. What? But Nomi thinks that the type of control system Q uses could be useful across the robotics field. I thought that was very telling. The team hasn't looked at specific industrial applications for the technology yet. What do you mean you haven't looked at some industrial application yet? Have they not heard of FLIPPY? Flipping hamburgers? Come on, get with it. But I like how they admit it. They're like, well, we're not really thinking about application. We're just trying to get this thing to do some between the legs, behind the back dribbles, some crossovers, double crossovers. But I'm glad they think that it could be useful across all robotics. You know, it doesn't fool anybody over there. Know me, you know. We know what you're up to. So there you go. There's Q, the AI-powered basketball robot. An update. We're looking for Q6 debuting on Christmas Eve. How about that? All right. So there you go. There's your Flippy update. And let's move on to some beastly systems.
Speaking of the beast system, beast system.
Sinful generation!
Yeah. And this pertains to another Dove art. Oh my gosh, Dove. We're revisiting some old Dove art here. This one from episode 410. It was a Canary Cry Street Team flyer, and it says, "You deserve to be preserved" at the top. And then there's a face in a vat kind of thing in a little jar. It's Walt Disney, actually. It's Walt Disney's head. And on some bullet points on the side, cryo freezing options, hair follicle DNA cloning, download consciousness into metaverse. Find out more at canarycry.party. Yeah, there you go. And it has to do with the story here from metro.co.uk. Excuse me, the headline here. Our patients aren't dead. Inside the cryogenic freezing facility with 199 humans on ice. Ugh. You know, what if the whole Antarctica agenda is to get as many woke people down there as possible, and then they're going to do one big cryogenetic thing where they just freeze, you know, a huge population of people and just promise them they're going to come back later? I don't know. Just thinking out loud. Inside tanks filled with liquid nitrogen are the bodies and heads of 199 humans who opted to be cryopreserved with the hopes of being revived in the future. Many of the patients, as Alcor Life Extension Foundation calls them, are people who were terminally ill with cancer, ALS, or other diseases with no cure in the present day. One of the patients is Mathuron Noavaratz Pong, the youngest person to be cryogenically frozen. Alcor's former CEO, Max Moore, pointed to a picture of the girl as reporters were given a tour of the facility. A little girl from Thailand who had this is a quote, "A little girl from Thailand who had a brain cancer. Both her parents were doctors and she had multiple brain surgeries and nothing worked, unfortunately. So they contacted us," Moore explains. There's a little short video that shows, the walkthrough and these cryogenic chambers. Now, Ovaratzpong's case is one of only a few at Alcor that is public. Another with a terminal disease is Hal Finney, who passed away from ALS. Now, why is Hal Finney an interesting person to bring up? Anybody know? Anybody in the classroom? Anyone? Bueller? It's because Hal Finney is thought to be one of the founders of Bitcoin. He is thought to be, he's definitely part of the early conversations with Satoshi Nakamoto. That's public. And yeah, I'm just going to go on the speculate. I'm not trying to create any doctrine or anything like that. These are just speculative thoughts. And the Bible talks about a man who has a mortal head wound yet lives. And we just saw, the story about the person who had a stroke, but then connected to the internet and is able to, perhaps be a part of the Senate. Hal Finney has his head frozen at Alcor, and he's the guy who created Bitcoin, or maybe he was very involved in the initial stages of Bitcoin getting started. And it actually says right here, another with terminally diseased Hal Finney, who passed away from ALS. Finney is well known in the cryptocurrency community for being the recipient of the first Bitcoin transaction. When it comes to famous, it goes into other people. Paris Hilton, rumors about Walt Disney, which again, Dove was on it. We have proof right here that Walt Disney is in the Alcor vaults in a chamber somewhere. But there you go. Legendary baseball player Ted Williams, who died in 2002, is currently one of Alcor's frozen patients. Moore says he thinks of cryogenics as an extension of emergency medicine. Quote, "We come at the stage where doctors today have given up. Today's medicine and technology is not sufficient to keep you going. But we're saying instead of just disposing of the patient, Give them to us. We're going to stabilize them, stop them getting worse, and hold them for as long as it takes for technology to catch up and allow them to come back to life and continue living, he said. Oh, it goes into Natasha Vidamore, the wife of Max Moore. We did some interview. Well, actually, Tom Horn did the interview for what's the movie called? Oh my gosh, I forget the name of the movie. Human, Beyond Human. I forget. It was a documentary that he made that I helped produce and edit. And it had interviewed a bunch of people in the secular world about transhumanism and all that. And Natasha Vidamore was one of those people. Vidamore is signed up to be neurosuspended, meaning only her brain will be cryopreserved. Oh, good. Yay. Best case scenario, Vidamore says, is that patients who were frozen will meet in the future with other family members or pets who are also preserved. And the destination would be the future where a person who had a cancer or ALS or some other type of injury or disease is revived, she says. Quote, the disease or injury cured or fixed and the person is a new body, cloned or a whole body prosthetic, or their body reanimated, and meet up with their friends again. Okay, let me pause there real quick, because once again, one of the big points that I jumped all over and tried to communicate early on in the conversations about transhumanism in the context of biblical eschatology is the religious or spiritual language that these technologists have picked up. It's no longer some kind of application that is useful for something, No, it's more spiritual. It's cosmic. It's almost exact same promise that you find in the Bible. And the whole reason why Jesus rose from the dead, it's fascinating that we are here. And so to me, it was like, okay, there's a direct one-to-one relationship between what these people are preaching, these transhumanists saying, hey, we're going to have these new bodies. And we're going to wake up. We're going to reanimate. We're going to resurrect. We're going to have new bodies, and then we'll hang out. It'll be great. That and the promise of eternal life biblically, I was like, okay, some people, the Christian transhumanists, think that is one and the same, that we will sort of meet halfway. I don't believe that. I personally think, no, this is part of the great deception. This is part of the reason why God has to intervene, a second coming, to stop the madness that will be unleashed on this world. And I see it. And so it was appalling to me that no church was talking about this. It was like, come on, this is directly religious language coming from these techno people. And the fact that the church is ignoring it really frustrated me. So we're here now, 2022, about 10 years later. And now it's in the mainstream, but it's really politicized, Tucker Carlson talking about it. Who was the other one? Jared Kushner's talking about it from the positive side of this application. Steve Bannon talking about it. And who else was it? General Flynn bringing it up. So it's become politicized. It's in the politics. It's being presented or distributed. These ideas are being distributed in the political context, but there's yet to be a biblical context, at least mainstream wise. I'm sure more people are realizing this, but that's what's frustrating to me is like, hey, I tried to lay that biblical foundation to address these issues, document thoughts and articles and everything else as it pertains to scripture. And then it gets all disappeared because, at least on YouTube, it gets disappeared. So anyway, these people are looking to spend their money to try to live forever. Why are they so afraid of death? I don't understand. But there's a couple scriptures that I always like to bring up in this context, and that's Revelation 9:6. It talks about the locusts who come out of the abyss and everything else. But the thing that happens there, it says, and in those days, people will seek death and not find it. They will long to die, but death will flee from them. And it always made me wonder, why can't they die? It's kind of interesting. It's like, if you wanted to die, I mean, if you're serious about it, make it happen. I can think of 10 creative ways to end it, in the next couple hours if I needed to. You know what I mean? I got a pretty busy street over. I mean, there are ways to die. And the fact that at this point of eschatology, biblical eschatology, or just the eschaton, some of these individuals are going to want to die, but they can't, being tormented by these sort of genetically modified locusts. I find it interesting. It does seem like these folks who are trying to live forever are going to bite off a little more than they can chew. What's the point of having eternal life if you're going to be in a fallen state? Oh, good. I solidified my fallen state for eternity. Yay. And also the language that comes from 1 Corinthians 15, which is the big chapter about the resurrection of Christ. And, it goes through the resurrection of the dead. Verse 14, and if Christ has not been raised, our preaching is worthless, and so is your faith. All this talk about Jesus, all this talk about your faith, worthless unless Christ actually rose from the dead. Some pretty bold claims there. And then starting in verse 20, but Christ had indeed been raised from the dead, the first fruits of those who have fallen asleep. For since death came through a man, the resurrection of the dead comes also through a man. For as in Adam all die, so in Christ all will be made alive, but each in his own turn. Each in his own turn. Isn't that interesting? Can't force this, right? For as in Adam all die, so in Christ all will be made alive, but each in his own turn. Christ, the first fruits, then at his coming, those who belong to him. Then the end will come, when he hands over the kingdom to God the Father after he has destroyed all dominion, authority, and power, for he must reign until he has put all his enemies under his feet. The last enemy to be destroyed is death. Isn't that interesting? That Jesus defeats death as part of his second coming there. And what are these the Natasha Vita Moores and the Paris Hiltons and the Mathurin now of a Pong and Alcor life extension? What are they trying to do? Oh, they're trying to defeat death. Yeah. All right. Give it a go. Give it a whirl. And I can keep reading. Obviously, I love this chapter. It goes into how the dead are raised, how there's a kind of body, what kind of body. There's different types of bodies. There's each its own kind of body. Splendor of the heavenly bodies is 1 degree. Splendor of the earthly bodies is another. So it will be, this is verse 42, so it will be with the resurrection of the dead. What is sown, perishable. It is raised, imperishable. And then later on, verse 50, now I declare to you, brothers, that flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of God, nor does the perishable inherit the imperishable. Listen, I tell you a mystery. We will not all sleep, but we will all be changed in an instant, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trumpet. For the trumpet will sound, the dead will be raised imperishable, and we will be changed. For the perishable must be clothed with the imperishable, and the mortal with immortality. So it sounds like God has an agenda here, not Natasha Vita Moore and Alcor, hitting a switch or something. Seems like a little bit more supernatural, a little more transcendent. When the perishable has been clothed with the imperishable and the mortal with immortality, then the saying that is written will come to pass. Death has been swallowed up in victory. Where, O death, is your victory? Where, O death, is your sting? The sting of death is sin, and the power of sin is the law. But thanks be to God who gives us the victory through Lord Jesus Christ. There it is. That's the big difference, and I'm fascinated that we are at a point where all these topics are sort of coming to a head and even more in your face. Can't really deny that these things are unfolding. And you got to at least have, if you're a total skeptic of the Bible, you should at least, hey, there's some wisdom, at the very least, that's incorporated or within the Word of God there that helps explain a lot of what's happening. Along those lines, here's another story that's related to the beast system. Scientists teach brain cells to play video game Pong. Oh, good. says here, scientists have scientists have taught brain cells how to play a video game, or the video game Pong, and they now plan to experiment with getting them drunk. As the cells taken from humans and mice played the game, they learned. They played longer rallies and were aced less often. That the 800,000 cells have mastered a version of the cult 1970s video game is evidence they can exhibit sentience, the Melbourne-based researchers said. Their peer-reviewed study has been published in the journal Neuron. Pong was an arcade game back in 1972, where two players use paddles to bat a ball back and forth, making a pong noise upon contact, hence the name. And it goes into a little bit of the background and the history and the story here. And, one of the things that I remember very vividly early on, there was a documentary about the wasn't the technocracy. What was it? It was like the Technogeddon, or the Technocalypse. That's what it was. There was a Technocalypse. It was titled Technocalypse. I don't know if it was like an official documentary or something. And they showed footage, and they got rid of it very quickly. Like, YouTube shut that documentary down. It was really hard to find. But I think we documented some of it on Canary Cry Radio very early on. And one of the things they showed was a literal microchip, and these scientists were like putting like brain chunks like on the chip, and that's kind of what these guys are doing, and seeing the response, interacting with the game Pong. So there's a quote here from the study's lead author, Dr. Brett Kagan, chief scientific officer of the biotech startup Cortical Labs. He said, by manipulating the neurons and showing that they can change behavior based on feedback, the team has shown, quote, something that resembles intelligence. Quote, this is the new way to think about what a neuron is. Quote, it's not necessarily a computer, but it's a small biological device that can process information and respond intelligently with incredible speed, low power consumption, and flexibility. And that is what, if we think about the noosphere, the global brain, all that kind of stuff, they want each one of us to be just nodes in the human network, as just like the neuron in your brain. You're just a biological device that processes information and responds intelligently to different stimuli. I mean, that's really how they think about it. And it has worked. Think about all the social engineering that has taken place in the last couple decades, at the very least, let alone the last century. So, this type of story doesn't surprise me. And once again, I guess the trek towards all this continues. There's another quote here. We know our brains have the evolutionary advantage of being tuned over hundreds of millions of years of survival. Now it seems we have in our grasp the ability to harness this incredibly powerful and cheap biological intelligence. That's what they're after. They want biological intelligence so we can create our mini brains and, power the robots, right? I mean, there's so many different applications that they can extract from something like this, but nevertheless, it doesn't surprise me one bit. There's nothing new under the sun. You talk about alchemy and the golem and all these types of things. This is all part of it. And if people just read their Bibles, they would realize that it's all been prophesied.
People don't even read their Bible, for heaven's sakes.
And moving on here, there's a couple things to touch on from the World Economic Forum.
Build back better. Build back better. Build back better. We will build Babylon better. This time,
a new world order.
Speaking of all the changes taking place in our world, one of them is governance, or just, in terms of any kind of mass group movement and not just development, but just movement, work, you can call it, productivity. But here's the World Economic Forum website, this weforum.org. They had this headline and story. Do companies need bosses, cooperatives, and the social economy explained? All right. Let me just read the bullet points just to get to the bottom of it here. Cooperatives employ 280 million people globally. That's 1 in 10 people working today. Studies have shown they are more likely to succeed and have happier workers than other companies. They are part of a wider social economy that values democratic governance and people over profit. And then there's a video that explains some of it. But yeah, so the idea here, imagine not having a hierarchy at work that leads up to the CEO. In 3 million companies around the world, this is the case. They are called cooperatives, or co-ops for short, and have a totally different organizational structure from traditional companies. Co-ops employ 280 million people globally, or 1 in 10 people working today, according to the International Cooperative Alliance. And studies have shown they are more likely to succeed and have happier workers than other companies. They are part of a wider social economy, which includes foundations, associations, and social enterprises and sectors from education to agriculture, all driven by the values of people over profit and democratic governance. So, they make it sound like this is a better way to govern, right? Hey, this is the social economy, which makes sense in the progressive mindset of, virtue signaling. It's your social status that is more important than your productivity or anything else. It's really just about you. It's about your ability to express yourself, right? Without any kind of restraint from some kind of hierarchy that's always there to suppress and all that. Sounds ideal. I can see this type of corporate infrastructure being very appealing to, I know it's appealing to my generation and younger for sure, because they're looking at, Western civilization and they're being told that it's so corrupt and evil. And also, yes, it is very evil and corrupt. So it doesn't really help to say like, well, it's a better way than all these other technocratic or New World Order things. Well, they're being sort of baited into accepting it because the system itself, the way it is now, has not necessarily worked either. And so the social economy, again, making value as a sort of currency within a corporation of kind. And so, yes, let me see. Do I have anything? Oh, I have this highlighted. Launched in response to the COVID-19 crisis by the Schwab Foundation, of course, World Economic Forum, together with Ashoka Catalyst 2030, Echoing Green, GHR Foundation, Skull Foundation, and Eunice Social Businesses in April 2020. The Global Alliance will continue to mobilize a trusted community of leaders together with core partners, SAP, Bayer Foundation, Motsepe Foundation, GHR, Porticus, Deloitte, Microsoft, Catalyst 20. Okay. Why, if they're trying to build a cooperative system, right? No CEOs, nobody leading, nobody telling you what to do, a more democratic system. Why are they like, hey, let's mobilize our trusted community leaders to have them partner with core corporations and organizations to establish this new system? It's like, what, aren't you against a top-down infrastructure? Isn't that the whole point of the social economy? I mean, if we're being honest here, if we're talking about social economy, y'all coming in with some heavy bags, where's the equality or the equity? No, these guys are coming in like, listen to us. We are the leaders. We're the trusted community leaders of the World Economic Forum. We're going to tell you how to create this cooperative system. Okay, but that's not very cooperative. It's silence. And there's a thing at the very end. Oh, this was a different. No, okay, yeah. So I'm sorry. So there was another part that I thought was going to be relevant here, in this article, but I guess that's in the next one because there's another World Economic Forum article that really, this is a couple months old, but it's just another one of those moments for me personally, that just, it's a called it type thing.
Called it.
It's a I tried to tell you kind of thing.
I tried to tell you.
I said that the DAO, the decentralized autonomous organizations, are going to become a thing more and more. I don't remember if I said this year, but World Economic Forum weforum.org. Again, this was back in June. This article was published, but I'm bringing it to you now because even though this article, this first one about cooperatives, doesn't say it, they're really talking about DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations. The WeForum here. Are DAOs the business structures of the future? DAOs can replace how we see companies today and have the ability to enable a true digital revolution, unlocking the potential of Web3 technology. And, wow, these are humongous icons. What is going on here? Where's the article? There it is. No? What is going on with this? What happened to the article? It disappeared. Hold on. Let me see if I can go into the actual article. Here we go. Ooh, this is a different title. Oh, this is an adventure. Oh, no, it's the same one. Okay, never mind. Here we go. Decentralized autonomous organizations are a new kind of organizational structure that run as code on blockchains. Ooh, blockchains. Oh, yeah.
Blockchain.
They're owned and run by members who normally hold tokens that provide decision-making rights and or economic rights in the organization. The number of participants in DAOs grew in 2021 from 13,000 to 1.7 million people. Hey, so I'm not crazy when I said that we sort of saw the adoption or the awareness of DAOs accelerate in 2021 and that it will continue to accelerate in 2022 to the effect of the World Economic Forum talking about it. With questions concerning accountability, how the emerging Web3 space should be governed, and how DAOs can be used as a vehicle for entrepreneurship in the digital space, it is worth considering their growing importance. Yeah. Oh, thanks, World Economic Forum, for considering their growing importance. DAOs allow members from anywhere in the world to pool capital and code rules for how they would allocate the capital. Governance is meant to be automated by code and decentralized. In other words, no one can tamper with the rules. For now, most of this remains theoretical as governance smart contract technology remains rudimentary. And then it goes into some numbers here with crypto. DAOs are the natural economic entity of Web3. Yes, everyone is going to have a DAO. I'm telling you, it is going to be disruptive. No one wants to listen to me. Everyone thinks I'm just talking about crypto.
Is this a crypto? Crypto? Do I look like I know what a crypto is?
They talk about the risks, the different challenges that they face, yada, yada, yada. And they talk about regulatory, problems or just, there's no regulatory clarity on these issues yet. So that's partly why it hasn't been, mass adopted. Somebody's going to, put in place the legal precedent and like, for example, in 2021, Wyoming became the first U.S. state to legally recognize DAOs and grant them the same legal rights as limited liability companies, which is, again, is pretty progressive, but also I think Wyoming, that's, I forget her name. She's like a pro Bitcoin representative there in Wyoming. So, the crypto, and by the way, I think the 2024 elections, crypto is going to be a theme. I think you're going to have to be pro crypto in some form or fashion to get voted in. By 2028, it'll be normal. It'll just be the way things are. The last part of this article here. Technology has outpaced regulation in this space. Yes, it has. The current approach is to try fit DAOs into a company registration framework that was built for a pen and paper era. The need to build a regulatory framework around this technology is urgent. Hear that, governments? It is urgent. We must put down the railways, the guardrails, so that people don't spin out of control. We must know what everybody is doing with their crypto. This requires a private-public partnership among technologists, regulators, and entrepreneurs. The future of digital entrepreneurship is at stake. And what's really funny about this is that the true opportunity, I'll put it that way, the opportunity that exists if the majority of the population educated themselves on how something like a DAO would operate, guess what becomes completely obsolete? Think tanks. Governments would lose quite a bit of influence. And organizations like World Economic Forum, they would lose any purpose, because if the people come up with how they want to spend their money and how they want to affect the world, and they find like-minded people and they all work towards something together, there ain't nothing the World Economic Forum or the United States government or whoever, there's not much they can do. Now they can say, oh, that violates this law and we put on these laws and you are now all going to jail. They can do that. But notice how it's just forcing governments to become more and more and more totalitarian in order to stay relevant. That's what's happening here. This technology is disruptive. And so there is this fine line between the positive potentials in a small window of time as these changes start to happen. Me personally, I'm looking at it as opportunities to spread the gospel in this new framework, Web3, and just make sure that the gospel is there and present and is able to address any curious minds out there who are in that world and they need a better explanation, a more cosmic or, a fuller explanation about what we are, where we are, and what's happening to humanity, all that kind of stuff. Because otherwise, it's all just going to be some kind of economic engine, and you yourself, as humans become tokenized on the network, we are becoming more and more of the neuron in the node or a node in the network, so to speak. So I think it's very important that we keep track of this stuff. And again, I know people don't like me talking about DAOs and crypto and all that, but it's only because as a watchman, I'm telling you, it's been happening. It's been unfolding right before our eyes. And with each iteration, with each cycle, it becomes more intense and the clashes seem to be more intense. And yeah, this is partly why I think as a community, the Canary Cry community, we need to sort of move into Web3 together in in kind of a safe and educational way, so that we're not, because it's dangerous. I mean, I've dabbled in Web3 and NFTs and all that kind of stuff, and I've gotten scammed. I got scammed earlier this year. I mean, it's tough. There's a lot of learning curve here. And so if we move as a community and we move together and we support each other as we move into that realm of Web3, I think that'll be important ministry for everybody. And in connection to this idea of a micronation that we covered, the Molossia, and also the General Milley speech at the West Point graduation that I keep bringing up about how it's, warfare is becoming less about nation states. It's all about regions and groups and smaller battlefields, and everything's breaking down. And some people like to call it the Great Reset. It's part of the Great Reset. Yeah, it's Great Reset stuff, but it's more than that, and there are opportunities in both directions. And when you shake things up, of course, the elite have a bigger sort of forklift to sort of try to scoop everything up all at once, right? They got all the infrastructure to do that, but they can't do everything, and I think that's where we can fill some gaps and really get in there. And we talk about the, Canary Cry idea of a canarium and that kind of thing. But if you look at, the idea of a nation state, right? You look at nation, nación is the origin, the etymology, a race of people, large group of people with common ancestry and language. I mean, you can really say, the people of God, we're sort of, we are part of that, birth, rank, descendants, relatives, country, homeland. We share something that transcends this physical world as part of the kingdom of God. And so we are that nation. We're sort of the God nation. And then if you look at the word state, it's circumstances, position in society, temporary attributes of a person or thing, conditions, from the Old French estat or stat, and directly from Latin status, a station, position, place, way of standing, figuratively standing, rank, public order, community, organization. So yeah, you can say that Canary Cry itself here, all of you listening and producing, we are just one big sort of nation state in a sense, or a micronation. You can even call it a micronation. And the reorganization of all the stuff, the breaking down of the barriers and the changes and all that kind of thing. What is it leading to? Well, the Word of God tells us that there will be a day when there will be 10 kings that arise, and then an 11th king that subdues 3 of them and sort of takes over the system. It's Daniel 7, verse 24, and it talks about the 10 horns as the 10 kings. And also in parallel to that, Revelation 17:12, the 10 horns that you saw are 10 kings who have not yet received royal power, but they are to receive authority as kings for 1 hour together with the beast. This is where they have one mind of the beast. This is where sort of the beast hive mind is established. 10 kings. Who are these 10 kings? I don't know. But if we get to a point where we have a Earth DAO or something, and we have 10 individuals that represent either an actual physical geographical place or some kind of online nation, people all around the world, but they all sort of collectively represent themselves in the metaverse as, hey, we're part of this nation, maybe like Zuck Nation. Imagine everybody wearing Mark Zuckerberg wristbands and headbands. Yeah. You want to get made fun of as being part of the mark of the beast. That should happen. But that's what we're looking for. We're looking for the 10 kings that will sort of take over the world, and then we will start to see the end times unfold with another one coming in, taking out 3 of them, merging, the whole deal. So there you go. And once it all goes down and everything happens and Jesus returns and he, judges and he's got to burn some stuff, but eventually it's going to be a party. But until then, I guess we can just have a Canary Cry party. Canary Cry Party is a website with a tree of links that leads to everything from where to listen to the show, watch the show, produce the show, and connect with us and the community. That was one of the weirder transitions. I apologize for making light of serious topics here. Canary Cry Party. You'll go there. You just find all the links, the resources, a lot of things you can do, including the archive for Face Like the Sun. That's there. It's the Odyssey page. So go there, check it out. And the cool thing about the Odyssey one, well, the good and the bad is that for some reason it did not copy over the Age of Deceit films. I don't know why that didn't happen. Maybe they were too long or something. But the positive side is that it definitely kept a lot of the videos, a majority of the videos that was published on the Face Like the Sun YouTube channel. And the dates are even on there on Odyssey, which I appreciate. I appreciate that Odyssey was, mindful enough to maintain the date of publishing. Because it helps me. I don't remember what date was published, but if you go in there and you look at some videos like, oh, I published this on, 2014 or whatever it is. So that's there. There's also a button to the podcast Ravel. That's Basil's other podcast with Dr. Christopher Ryan Gates, where they talk about society, scripture, and scandal, having tough conversations in good faith. It's a great podcast, great supplement to everything we do here. Also go to Canary Cry Clips. Go look for the Clips channel. That's where you find all of the videos or these episodes here, these longer episodes, cut up into smaller, shorter clips by our Canary Cry Clippies, who take the thing and they clip it and then they publish it so that you can share the stories with friends and family in a much more concise and direct fashion. Use the search button. There's a search bar. If you go to any YouTube, little alpha here. You may have known this, but if you didn't, with every YouTube page, once you're on the page, there's a little search button or a search bar, I guess, and you can type in whatever topic and it'll pull up the videos that have those keywords from that channel. So, it's a way to sort of search the channel to see if there's a certain topic that you're looking for. So there you go, Canary Cry Clips channel on YouTube. It's also on Odyssey. Go subscribe there. And also you can text the word Canary to 877-740-3226, and we shall send a text message alert before we go live. And it's just another way to stay connected with us, as we never know when we will be rugged by the Susans of the world. That's what we should just call it. We got rugged. That's what YouTube is rugging us. So anyway, all right, let's take a quick break. Thanks some producers.
It's break time. Come on, take a break.
We're going to take a short break to thank producers who help support the show through their treasure. We already thanked our executive producers, Jackie A., Ashley S., and Sir Darren Knight of the Hungry Pandas. Thank you for your producerships, your executive producerships, but we have more to thank. People came in under $100, but more than $7.77, which is the cutoff that entitles you to have a note read. And first up here, we have Cherie S. Cherie, thank you. Coming in with $51.33, which means Illuminatus.
Illuminatus!
There's a note here. Dear Gonz, you are not, quote, just a guy with a microphone. You are Gonzo the Great and defending the Canary realm with honor. Oh.
Hallelujah.
Thank you, Cherie. That's very kind of you. And okay. I'm defending the Canary realm. Gonzo the Great. I like this. I like the imagery here. Yeah, I'm not just a guy with the mic. I have a royal mic. Maybe I should get one of those broadcast mics that the fancy broadcast shows have. Make it gold plated. What if I just got really into gold? Everything was gold. All my hat was gold. Microphone was gold. Just really gaudy, and being all, bling bling, and just really, being one of those prosperity gospel types, just it's my shtick in the metaverse. Except it's not real. None of it's real. It's all AR. It's all augmented reality. Like, hey, check out my gold hat. And then in person, it's like, well, no, don't look at me. Don't look at me without your VR goggles. Anyway, thank you, Cherie S. That's very kind of you. I appreciate it. And we have to defend the Canary realm. I shall do it with honor, as my ancestors have left in my DNA. Next up, we have Alana S. Thank you, Alana S., coming in with $33.33. And this is a makeup, actually. Alana S. came in, I think it was a couple episodes ago, with this and a note, and I just didn't get to it. So I'm making up for it now. Her note reads, so excitedly, I received my supply drop on Saturday, but to my surprise, I found 2 in my mailbox. The only thing I can figure out is when I switched from a calendar producer to supply drop, I made 2 donations trying not to cancel my original monthly support by adding to it. Ultimately, I had to cancel and renew my support, but ended up with 2 supply drops last quarter as well. When I went back and checked, it looked as if I made 2 supply drop donations back in June. After receiving 2 again this quarter, I couldn't just accept it. So here is another $33.33 for the extra. Thank you very much. That's very generous of you. On another note, after looking back at my support, I realized I canceled and renewed my support on June 6th. So that could have been it right there. And then P.S. Basil, go back to the meow, meow, meow instead of blah, blah. Please. All right, I'll have to relay that to Basil in the time stream, and I'll let him know. Next time he says blah, 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 I'll get all over him and say, hey. Alana S. requested that you go back to meow, meow, meow. I agree. Meow, meow, meow is better. Anyway, I think it's more friendly. Blah, blah, blah has too many, Greta kind of ruined blah, blah, blah. Used to be sort of condescending, you'd say, a little attitude, but now it's just kind of like, you're just an eco warrior now. If you say blah, 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 or you're making fun of the eco warriors. Anyway, thank you very much, Alana S. Appreciate you coming in. Next up, we have Sir Morv, Knight of the Burning Chariots, on a 151 episode streak. With a treasure support of $11.11. Here's a note here. Happy Friday.
It's Friday. We can keep playing with the Friday thing.
Hope everyone has a great weekend. Thank you very much. Sir Morv, Knight of the Burning Chariots, coming in. Next up, we have Sir LX Protocol V2, Knight of the Berean Protocol, on an 88 episode streak.
Quicker.
Oh, yeah. Man, thank you so much.
88 miles per hour. I love that movie growing up. Oh, sorry. I stepped all over that. Flawless Victory. Yeah, one of my favorite movies when I was growing up. I actually saw, I don't remember how old I was. I can probably look it up, but I saw Back to the Future 3 in theaters. You know, when they go back to the Wild West. So I was really into it. And then, then got into the first two. And that's all I played in elementary school. Back to the Future. My friend always wanted to be Marty. So he was always telling me to be Doc. I was like, I don't want to be Doc. I want to be Marty McFly. But yeah, so there you go. Thank you very much, Sir Alex Protocol V2, Knight of the Berean Protocol. And let me do a quick refresh just to make sure we don't forget anybody, because some people might be coming in a little bit later in the game here. Refresh. Lots of refresh buttons. Oh, and by the way, thank you to the people sending us messages saying that they are deleting their PayPal accounts. Totally understand. Given the circumstances, I think they stopped supporting some kind of not Democrats like Democrats here, some kind of democratic organization in China, in Hong Kong, I think. Upholding the values of the West or whatever. The PayPal no longer supports them. And there was, who was it? Kanye, I think. I don't think this is actually related to PayPal, but some bank decided that they're not going to work with Kanye anymore. So clearly there is a financial crunch coming. And so we understand that, but we'll figure out other ways around PayPal here. And it might include crypto because, well, it will include crypto. If you just want to move along into the future with that stuff, there are ways to stay a little more anonymous with crypto. But again, we're all going to do it together. It's going to be a communal effort here, and we want to make sure we're educating along the way. So that's really important. And okay, we do have some people coming in here. Let me start off with, real quick, we have another executive producer, real fast. Executive producer? There you go.
Executive producers.
All right. Coming in with 100. Oh, is that, it's a flat number, I believe. Okay. Yes, it is a flat number. And for those of you who may not know, if you'd like us to not read the amount that you give, then do something really, flat, basic number. We'll know not to read it. If you want us to read it, make it something fun, interesting. A lot of people do 33 cents or 77 cents or something like that. But this one is from Amanda K. Thank you, Amanda K. I don't see a note. Let me just double check. Let's see. I'm not seeing a note. Amanda K, if you did send a note, maybe send another one to get my attention somewhere. But thank you very much. We appreciate you for coming in last minute here and making it happen. Yeah, Amanda K. Yep, there you go. Thank you, Amanda K, for being an executive producer for episode number 547.
Where'd you find this?
And we also got, Amanda K also with the supply drop. Is this a new one? Oh my gosh. I don't know how to read this information. I don't know if this is a new supply dropper, Amanda K, or if this is just coming in with the subscription to the supply drop from before. But thank you. I really appreciate it. We also have, let's see, Jabri P. Jabri P coming in with, is this 1111? I don't think it is. Okay. Some number there between 1040 and 1111. Not sure. 1129. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. I don't see a note from Jabri either, but I want to say thank you. And let me put that in there as well. There you go. All right. Thank you very much. I believe we are up to speed on those producers coming in over the amount of $7.77. There's a few more people to thank below that 777 amount. And we're going to start with Sir Casey, the Shield Knight, on a 218 episode streak.
Oh yeah, streakalicious.
He's definitely streakalicious. He's the leader in the clubhouse of all streakers in the Canary verse. So yeah, thank you very much, Sir Casey, and continued success, continued trailblazing of the streaking here. Next up, we have Veronica D, one of the Streak Sisters, 183 episodes in a row. Wrong one. This one. There we go. There you go. Thank you very much, Veronica D. And the other Streak Sister, Dame Gail, coming in. Thank you, Dame Gail. And we also have Sir Scott, Knight of Truth. Now, Sir Scott, did Sir Scott miss a couple? Because he's next in line when it comes to streak trailblazing. And I don't know if he missed an episode or two, or maybe I missed it. Sir Scott, let me know. Did I miss you? Did I miss you, or did you miss me, us, or what happened? Set me straight. I don't know what's happening. But if this information is correct, he's on a 206 episode streak.
Oh yeah, streakalicious.
Thank you very much. And is that it for right now? I believe so. Yeah, I think that's it. There may have been some new supply droppers that I'm not getting to. And again, I apologize. Please make that happen. If you know what? I forgot to read the note from Sir Alex Protocol V2. Did I read it or not? Yeah, let's read it, because I don't think I did. Chat, did I read the note from Sir Alex Protocol V2, Knight of the Berean Protocol? Give him a second to respond here. Well, I'll read it anyway. It's Friday. Yes, it is Friday.
It's Friday. Keep playing with the Friday thing.
And he says, pray for me. I don't think I read it. Pray for me. So pray, Deucers. Producers, listen up all around the world. Pray for Sir LX Protocol V2, Knight of the Berean Protocol. He says he's having a tough time. Life can be tough, but I know God reigns over all. I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. Amen to that. And yeah, so producers, pray for Sir LX Protocol that, he gets through those tough times. And a lot of times it's those tough times that, God brings us through a journey. It helps us grow. It helps us learn. And then we can enjoy the fruits as we move through that. So we're with you, Sir Alex Protocol, and hope you have a better weekend and things start looking up. Maybe if you're just more dovish, so be more dovish, man. Don't be so hawkish. I know, easier said than done. All right. There you go. That's all the producers that came in for this episode, I believe, at this moment. Again, if I missed you, I'm sorry. Send me a note. Send an angry note to basil.rosewater. No, send it to canarycryradio@gmail.com or canarycryradio@protonmail.com and let us know what mistakes we made, because I'm pretty sure we made some kind of mistake somewhere. But there you go. Thank you very much for your patronage.
Shut up and take my money.
Thank you for your patronage. Thank you for your patronage. Thank you for your patronage.
It's time to wake up.
Yes, it's wake-up time.
Hey, yo, wake up.
Oh, what do we do? What do we do? It's pandemic special.
A pandemic special.
Okay. This is CBS.news. Just going to read it. Not a whole lot of commentary necessarily. But the headline here, cases of respiratory virus RSV in children rising in 33 states.
33.
Out of all the number of states, only 33 of them, huh? Interesting. A family vacation turned into a trip. A family vacation turned into a trip to the emergency room for April Jones and her 6-year-old daughter, Lillian, who suffers from asthma and was hospitalized with a lung infection called respiratory syncytial virus. Am I saying that right? I don't think so. Syncytial? Let's see what the speech thing says. Syncytial virus. Quote, she was more lethargic, Jones said. Her breathing was labored. When they got to the ER, they were met with an hours-long wait to be admitted to the intensive care unit. Is that because of the Ronas? Children's Healthcare of Atlanta said that's because it's seeing 2 or 3 times the volume of pediatric patients with RSV cases have skyrocketed in Georgia and at least 32 other states. So Georgia, state number 33 of all the states with the RSV breakouts. Interesting, considering the Georgia Guidestones went down, right? Symptoms include coughing, wheezing, runny nose, and decreased appetite. It's transmitted through direct contact. Nearly 60,000 children younger than 5 years old are hospitalized due to the virus each year, according to the CDC. There are no approved vaccines for it. Okay. I think we know what the problem reaction solution is, and they are presenting to us the problem. RSV in children. No vaccines. We can change that. Well, how are we going to change it if we don't have the problem? Well, we'll just make it a problem. 33 states. RSV explosion. Quote, one of the great things is parents know their children the best, said Dr. Andy Shane. Yeah, I think that's insensitive, Dr. Andy Shane. I mean, on one hand, yes, parents do know their children the best. But on the other hand, a lot of parents abandoning their offspring. It's kind of a thing these days. It's a problem. Okay, I'm not going to make social commentary on medical commentary from a doctor. A pediatric infectious disease doctor at Children's Healthcare of Atlanta. Quote, if a child is having difficulty breathing, that may be an indication for the child to see emergency department or urgent care, end quote. Again, just the wealth of knowledge from these people. If your child's not breathing, better take him to a doctor. Really? Jones is cautious as flu season approaches. Even though her daughter is better, she has 3 other children, including a son who's had RSV as an infant. Quote, it's hard to talk about because it's really emotional, she said when asked if she was concerned that one of her children could get RSV again. End of article. Leave you hanging. Be afraid, everybody. Protect your kids. Cover their faces. And give more money to the government, or at least a big pharma group, because we need to figure out a vaccine for RSV, especially for these 33 states where the problem is rising. Yeah, so there you go. Out of all the numbers, really 33 states, this number, the 33 in general, but also 33 states in particular was a thing during the whole lockdown and the pandemic. We saw this number pop up over and over again as part of the narrative crafting, so to speak. So I think it's interesting. I think it is signaling at some unspoken level, or perhaps some spiritual or dark spiritual level. Or, just some people, some lizard peoples over here signaling to lizard peoples over there. And we're just calling it out. We have a COVID story, but it's I'm going to pretend like it's politics because it kind of is, but it's also COVID.
It's Corona time. COVID-19, 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 coronavirus.
Vaccine. I am vaccine. Vaccine, number one way.
Poly.
It's Latin for many.
Tick.
Now suck your blood. Now suck
Politics.
your blood.
What kind of politics?
It's Newsome science, baby! Ha!
Our favorite kind. It's Newsome science. Yay! NewYorkPost.com. Yeah, it's always scary when you report the New York Post. You know, when you read the New York Post, they're just the bastion of fake news. You know, the whole Hunter thing, the laptop, that was all just crazy fake news. You know, I don't want to read from an outlet that just peddles fake news. But we're just reading it. Okay, Susan? New York Post headline. California makes it illegal for doctors to disagree with politicians. Whoa. Pretty intense. Conformity of thought is now required, whether it's online, on college campuses, or if you're in California, in a physician-patient relationship. Then it mentions the PayPal thing about the $2,500 fine for anybody, quote, sending, posting, or publication of any messages, content, or materials that in PayPal's sole discretion promote misinformation. Firestorm of criticism, and they backtracked on that. But California physicians have had no such relief. Governor Gavin Newsom recently signed California Assembly Bill 2098, making it the first state to attempt to censor what physicians can say about COVID-19 to their patients. This is a dangerous and likely unconstitutional effort that other states must resist. Okay, this is an opinion piece in the New York Post, so keeping that in mind, that's why there's an I, or sort of that's not the letter I per se, but just an implied sort of a voice from the author here, Dr. Joel Zinberg. And he would know. Apparently he's a doctor. I don't think he likes having his speech censored by the likes of PayPal or the state itself, Newsom himself. The statute instructs that, quote, it shall constitute unprofessional conduct for a physician and surgeon to disseminate misinformation or disinformation related to COVID-19, including false or misleading information regarding the nature and risks of the virus, its prevention and treatment, and the development, safety, and effectiveness of COVID-19 vaccines, end quote. Pretty broad there. That's very broad. And what is considered disinformation? I like how they put disinformation and misinformation. So, it could be deliberate, or it could just be a mistake on your end there, physicians. But either way, if you don't say the right things, you can be labeled unprofessional or slapped with unprofessional conduct. California law requires the Medical Board of California to take action up to and including license revocation. My gosh, you can take your license away against any licensed physician charged with unprofessional conduct. But under the First Amendment, content-based speech regulation by government entities is presumptively unconstitutional and may be justified only if the government proves that it is narrowly tailored to serve compelling state interests. In 2018, Supreme Court case, National Institute of Family and Life Advocates versus Becerra, held that professional speech by licensed practitioners based on their expert knowledge and judgment, is protected by the First Amendment. Oh, thank you. Thank you, courts, for clearing that up. The court, though, did suggest that regulations of professional conduct that incidentally burden speech might be allowed. Speech that is part of the practice of medicine has historically been subject to reasonable licensing and regulation by states. It is not clear whether providing information to a patient, such as whether mask wearing works and is necessary, or discussing the safety of in-person learning, is closely enough tied to medical practice and procedures to pass constitutional muster. This will undoubtedly be decided in future litigation. And that's sort of the other thing here, folks. Another pattern that just keeps popping up is everything is being shaken up. You know, it's kind of like the Etch-a-Sketch. You know, you get something drawn, you got some drawing, you got it to a certain level. At a certain point, you want to start over. You just shake that thing up, right? And all the little pieces fall off and you got to rebuild it. Build back better. Great reset. All those things. It's not just economically. It is with law as well. And how this is handled will determine how totalitarian our governments will remain or not, you know, in the context of sort of we talked about the DAOs earlier. You know, if enough doctors got together and they created their own medical DAO, you know, that could work, you know, and the general population could decide to not rely on government sponsored health programs, but rather programs that perhaps get put together by doctors themselves who, you know, go against certain narratives that government institutions are peddling. So not a good sign here in California anyway, but is that a surprise to anybody? Not really. I don't think so. And then this one's real brief here. This is from the World Health Organization. No, the World Economic Forum, WEF, the weforum.org. A lot of articles. This is a third one from that outlet today, which makes sense because, you know, they're just publishing all kinds of stuff. And the headline here, long COVID is disabling millions of Americans. These are the top health stories you need to know about. Yeah. Let's see. Top health stories. What was it about this that I wanted to bring to the show? I forget now. I thought I had something here. Lebanon recorded its first case of cholera since 1993. That's good. Swedish geneticist gets awarded Nobel Prize in physiology for discoveries that underpin our understanding of how modern day people evolved from extinct ancestors. Okay. CDC ended its COVID-19 country travel health notices as fewer countries are reporting enough data for accurate assessment. Oh, that's what it was. Okay. Yeah. So the report here, the updates, the CDC has ended its COVID-19 country travel health notices. Yeah. Okay. As fewer countries are reporting enough data for accurate assessment. You know, they stopped it not because of the effectiveness or lack of effectiveness. No, the countries are just not getting enough data. They're not participating in the surveillance program. Come on, countries. We had a deal here. You get the data. We analyze it and tell you what's going on. But if there's not enough data, not enough power to enforce travel health notices. So, so there you go. That was, you know, this is fun. Oh, this is okay, here it is. Long COVID is disabling millions of Americans. New report reveals more than 80% of the nearly 24 million adults in the U.S. who have long COVID are having some trouble carrying out daily activities, according to new data from the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The same people that are just said the countries don't give enough data are like, hey, we have this data. Looks like 80% of the 24 million adults in the U.S. who have long COVID are having problems. It's a good sign. Let's see. 24 times 0.8 equals, what is that? That is 19,200,000. So let's just call it 20 million. No. Wait, that's wrong. How is that possible? Wait a minute. I did that wrong. Hold on. Let me try that again. 24 million. Yeah. Divided by 0.8. Oh, that's what, okay. No. What am I doing? What am I doing wrong? I can't math right. I'm going to do it one more time. 24 million times 0.8 equals, yeah. Okay. So 19,200,000 people who have long COVID are having trouble carrying out daily activities. All right, I was right the first time. Between September 14th and 26th, more than 1 in 4 adults with long COVID reported significant limitations on day-to-day activities. It's closer to 40% for respondents who are Black, Latino, or disabled. Long COVID symptoms can include shortness of breath, cognitive difficulties, and symptoms that worsen even with minimal physical or mental effort. A primary indicator of chronic fatigue syndrome, according to the CDC, up to 4 million people in the U.S. are estimated to be out of work because of long COVID. According to the Brookings Institute. Oh, the Brookings Institute. Yeah, good institute to get data from. Although long COVID is recognized as a disability in the U.S., there is no test for the illness. No test for the illness? CDC, why are you making declarations about things you can't even test for? You know, now this data, according to new data from the CDC. What kind of data? I don't know, because we don't know how to test for the illness. So what's the data then, CDC? I'm just asking questions. I'm not saying that they're lying. I'm just asking questions. You know, if they're not able to test for the illness, long COVID, then how do you have data? See what I'm saying? It's usually a very simple equation. Data, meaning of data. But if you don't have a way to test for the illness, then what's the data? How are you coming to that conclusion? Social Security benefits require proof that a person has had the condition for at least a year. Proof. What are these people saying? Ask my Alexa. It's surveilled my entire year. And look at me trying to pick up the laundry. Can't do it. Long COVID has got me down. I'm not making fun of these people, folks. I'm just saying, how do you prove that? So anyway, nonsensical. I'm sorry, not nonsensical. Very logical things being reported here from the World Economic Forum concerning long COVID. All right. Well, again, I have to keep things fairly tight and short on this episode. So let's go ahead and thank some more producers who have come in with their talent. Break. This is break. Don't just consume the content, but become the content. Become the content. Take a break. Yes, become the content. Become a content in the network of the Canary Cry verse. Anyway, yes, we want to thank our producers who come in with their talent. The contribution of your talent can be artistic, musical, and poetic. Can be a whole host of things. But we just ask you to do it because it helps build the culture behind the community here at Canary Cry News Talk. It is content for the show, and you got to keep that in mind. It is actual content. And we just ask that you do it for the show, something that's related to a topic that we covered or something that happened. We appreciate and acknowledge that you have probably done projects in the past that are very good. But we just ask that you do something specific for the show. First up, we're going to do some... Ooh, I have my finger down on a button that I shouldn't. We're going to start with SpeakPipe.
Please leave a message after the tone.
At the tone, please record your message.
Leave a message. Beep.
Message.
Go to canarycrynewstalk.com. Look for a green tab on the right side or the bottom. Click that. It'll prompt you a little pop-up window where you can record a message up to 90 seconds. And that gives us the ability to listen to it and potentially play it or not, depending on a lot of things. Somewhere I feel Basil. If he was taking a nap or something, he just got jolted awake. Just the spirit moved him. Oh no! And he's like, "Oh no, Gons is messing up that pitch again." Banging his head against the proverbial wall. I don't know. I'm just trying to have fun there. But we have a couple messages. This first one from Joseph.
Hey guys, just wanted to say I was one of those who got knocked off with PayPal, and I'm coming back stronger. Wanted to encourage y'all. Listened for a long time, got off the mooch list sometime this year. But this is Jay out in Colorado and coming in at 44 on the supply drop.
All right. Thank you very much. Joseph coming in from, where did he say? It was kind of quiet on mine. I couldn't hear exactly, but it sounded like you were, you got affected by the PayPal thing. And yeah, you know, it's funny because PayPal is like, oh, no, we're backtracking. Meanwhile, they have locked out a bunch of people. So it I don't know. It's just so bizarre that, well, it's not bizarre that it's happening, but it's bizarre how it's become such a public issue and the backlash is so big that they had to sort of, backpedal and say, oh, no, we're not doing it. Even though the reality is they are totally doing it, completely doing it. And, yeah, so I'm sorry to hear that you were affected by that. And I think our time is limited as well if we keep going down this path here, which was known from the beginning. We kind of knew that was going to be the situation from the get-go. But nevertheless, it doesn't make it any easier, trying to find different ways to maintain the ability to distribute the show. So anyway, yeah, thank you very much, Joseph, for the message. We also got one from Rochelle.
Happy Friday, Canarians. So this song is for anybody who's ever had a bad day. It's called Pity Party. No sleep on my vacation, now I have awakened. Desert on my frustration, no, I don't have the time. Found it in a dark corner of my mind. Kick my ass 'cause I'm out of a line. Somebody tell me when the sun comes out today. My new revelation, avoid cancellation, deliver temptation, can you give me a sign? I heard on the radio everything is fine. Buy my excuses, 12 for a dime. Somebody tell me when the sun comes out today. A crack in my foundation causes hesitation, deliberation, where's the end of the line? I hear the kids playing in the moonshine, Marlboro Reds in a bottle of a wine. Somebody tell me when the sun comes out today. So I just want to thank all of the producers. You guys keep being awesome. And I got a request, very excited, for something out of the Book of Enoch. In the meantime, stay strong for Jesus.
Thank you very much for that message, Rochelle. And yeah, I like that she's taking requests now. So if anybody has some passages from the extra biblical Book of Enoch that, I think Rochelle can put something nice together that reflects on some of those topics. So thank you very much. We appreciate it. Real quick, I'm seeing a note here from one lousy Petunia, who was the executive producer. I think I did that wrong. I'm sorry. One lousy Petunia. I think I, not fully, but just sort of semi-doxed you. But she was an executive producer and had a note, Psalm 105, verse 4, seek the Lord in all his strength, seek his presence continually. Happy Friday, love, one lousy Petunia. Thank you very much. I apologize. I'm all over the place. Can't catch up on anything, and I should have known. I should have known. This was one lousy Petunia. That's part of the issue too with PayPal. I mean, they don't make it any easier to have if people have nicknames or something. It's got to be in our brain. We can't document it somewhere on PayPal. So anyway, thank you very much to one lousy Petunia. Let me fix that in the documentation here so I can make sure to thank you properly on the show notes. Okay, let's do some audio production, I believe. Is that so? Audio? Oh, where's my jingle? My jingle's supposed to play. There we go. Yeah, we have one piece of audio production today, and it comes from Caleb. And the note here, a money printer or handouts jingle. And also, thank you for the Caleb jingle, Marty B. Love it. There you go. Caleb thanking Marty B for that title jingle. And Caleb comes in with the money printer / or handouts jingle.
20 million, 50 million, 80 million, 100 million, blah, blah. You get $1 million, you get 100 million, you get 50 million.
I think Alex needs to slow down handing out those $50 million checks. He's gonna have to do some crawlbacks and pull together the cool 965 mil that the court says he owes to the Sandy Hook families. So yeah, slow down there, AJ. You might need to be a little bit more frugal with your spending habits. Yeah, slow down on those male enhancement products too. I think that's sort of amping you up too much. Yeah. Anyway, thank you very much, Caleb. Appreciate the jingle, and yeah, it's a good one. It's a good one to, especially in the context of the recent ruling with Alex Jones there. So thank you very much. All right, let's do some art.
One art, please.
We started with Dame Allie of the Skillet Nation.
One art, please. One art, please. Another one from Allie now. Here it is.
This piece is in regards to an article from Washington Examiner, headline, AOC confronted by protester accusing her of voting to start nuclear war. And I actually did watch the video of this exchange. It wasn't great video that I had, or the one I saw anyway. It was like a cell phone camera in the auditorium. A really passionate young man. I think he was representing a lot of folks who bought into the progressive message of the AOC types. They really came in, the sort of progressive ladies, and what was her name? Talib. There was I forget what they were called, like the four horsewomen or something. I forget what they were, but there was a few of them that came in and they were trying to change things up, make things really progressive, and really sold a bill of goods that a lot of young people bought into. A lot of young people saw what people like AOC were preaching, and they were like, "Yeah, I'm all in on that." And then they were betrayed. They were just absolutely betrayed because these people, these AOC types, they were never there to really help the people from the beginning. They were there for corporate gain, for economic gain, for status gain. It was not the squad. Thank you, Kira OC. Yeah, it was a squad. Yeah, they weren't there to help the country. They were there to make a buck. And now it's very apparent as they sign or helps push policy that fattens up their pocketbooks, but it's not very beneficial to the rest of the world. And yeah, if you do see it, I mean, yes, this young person was very upset. And again, rightfully so. They're still sort of upset in the wrong context of things, but it's just the overall fear. So here's a quote from the protester. "None of this matters." Where is it here? Let me see if this is longer. Yeah. "None of this matters unless there's a nuclear war, which you voted to send arms and weapons to Ukraine. You ran as an outsider, yet you've been voting to start this war in Ukraine. You're voting to start a third nuclear war with Russia and China. Why are you playing with the lives of American citizens?" And it's funny because it's all in the context of like, we're going to have nuclear war now because of you, AOC. So as the mainstream left-leaning platforms are trying to blame Putin, at the twist of events, the followers of these politicians, these progressive types, are turning on them and blaming them for the impending nuke. I just think it's very entertaining to say the least. And here we have Allie did a portrait piece of AOC in a moment of shock and just confusion. You can read on her face there, and if you zoom into her eyes, her just really brilliant reflections of the lights, but also the clear lizardly figure in her eye thing there. So yeah, no surprises there. We all knew what AOC was really peddling out there. So thank you very much, Dame Allie. Appreciate it. And go check out that video of the protester. It's always fun. And the other thing is I think this article from the Washington Examiner tries to quote AOC. Right. Yeah. Okay. So he's quoting her response or whatever, but in the video you cannot hear her response at all. It just sounds. It's because it's in an auditorium. I don't know if she's off mic or what, but you just can't hear anything she's saying. True to form of the actors that are our politicians. And also Tulsi Gabbard gets brought up in the rant as well. So, and I think she officially left the Democratic Party, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, that's part of it too. That's another interesting play we've got to keep an eye on. Tulsi Gabbard, a lot of people love her because she's sort of pushing back against the typical extreme leftist progressive ideologies. But she's a young global leader for the World Economic Forum. So even her pushing back, creating the counter narrative is probably part of the agenda in creating some kind of new governance system here in the U.S. and across the world. So keep an eye out for that. All right. Thank you, Dame Allie. Appreciate it. And let's move on to Sir Dove, Knight of Respeltia.
One art piece from Dove.
Sir Dove. There's a note. It says, peace. For today's artwork, I wanted to send in something I made for the Feast of Tabernacles meetup tomorrow. It's painted on top of a cat food box. I'm showing the wrong thing. Hang on. Let me show the correct one. There's two pieces that came in. So, yes. There we go. That's more like it. All right. It's painted on top of a cat food box and will be thrown into the fire after we test out how well dryer lint does as kindling. I like this. This is practical innovation, a real science experiment. Dove and the Salmons and everybody over there at the Feast of Tabernacles meetup. If you go to the meetup, you're going to be moving at the speed of science, folks. You're part of the truth because you are part of science. I kid. Okay, so that's they're going to do this experiment. They're going to light some lint on fire. Also, I'll be giving away a few copies of Psalm Not. What is this? Psalms Not Volume 2. Hope you guys like it. Keep doing what you're doing. I'll keep praying for yins. And that was the other one I was showing here with a couple of the books with the Dove art. Very cool. This meetup will be legendary. Try to be there if you're in the area. Try to make it. It's going to be a good one. So thank you very much, Sir Dove. And we appreciate your constant producership. And that's why I was so dovish today on this episode. So moving on. We have Mark A.
A brand spanking new art from Mark A.
Oh, yeah. Oh no. Oh man, things happen. Okay. Mark A. Shalom, boys. I'm no AI art generator, just trying to follow Basil's prompts. Hope yins like it. It's true. We're kind of like, no, the AI art generator is not really a thing. But then, our artists, in some ways, they could be. You are our AI art generators, Mark A., for example. And yes, this is Bong Thoughts with Shillzilla. And it is a living room setting here with a lizard shill sitting on the couch, hooked up to a giant poster of an all-seeing eye on the wall. Somehow it looks like there's is that smoke coming? Okay, I guess it's smoke. It's not wires. Some smoke is doing some the drugs there. And it says Bong Thoughts in a cloudy form at the top. There's a plant in the back. So I'm presuming is that green plant. And then on the table in front of the lizard Chillzilla is a drink. Looks like some kind of I don't know, Mountain Dew or something. I don't know. And then the bong, and then the paraphernalia. And then there's a piece of paper, and it says notes, no taste, no flavor. Oh, no taste. Sorry. Notes, no taste, no flavor, not able to taste. Sorry, I had to read that upside down, so it's kind of rough for me to do. But there you go. That's what's on the page. There's a little grinder there, and also a small detail on the back right side of the image is a human face mask that presumably this is the Chris Cillizza cover. You know, he's a lizard guy, but on a daily life he can't really walk around as a lizard, so he's got to put on the Chillzilla mask, and that's what's kind of on the little stand there on the right. Good times. Thank you very much, Mark A, for fulfilling the vision of Basil. And this is in reference to what was it called? The Downside Up or something? The new podcast for CNN hosted by Chris Chillzilla. And the first episode was about what if we didn't have taste, bro? What if, bro? Actually, let me do a quick look up, see if they came out with another episode with Cillizza, CNN, Downside Up podcast. This is my ASMR Goog session. I don't think they have a new episode since October 3rd. Come on, Chillzilla. You can't come up with more episodes? New episodes start Monday. Oh, no, they do. Oh, they did have one. Okay. All right. Okay. Oh, so good. Okay. Oh, do I have my Chillzilla jingle here? This is impromptu Chillzilla update. We have to do it.
Shill. A shill for sure.
Episode 2, Downside Up podcast. What if dogs had never been domesticated? We think of dogs as man's best friend. They sleep in our beds. They dominate on Instagram. They dominate on Instagram feeds. They shape our public parks. But do dogs also hold the key to our survival? 20,000 years ago, the gray wolf started the long evolutionary process to become our beloved household pet and change the course of humanity in the process. But what if dogs, this is the part right here, but what if dogs had never been domesticated, bro? Bro, what would the world look like, bro? On this episode of Downside Up, host Chris Chillzilla speaks with journalist David Grimm. Things are looking really grim. Anthropologist Dr. Radhika Govindrajan and anthropologist Dr. Margot DeMello to better understand our relationship with dogs and what society would look like without them. Oh, man. It does not get any better. You can't make this up, folks. You know? It's just one of those things. It's just unbelievable. All right. Thank you very much, Mark A, for bringing to light the image of Chillzilla. All right. Moving on here. I'm running out of time. Oh, my gosh. Real quick, we have a microfiction.
Microfiction.
fiction.
Usually they come in from Runk Smash. I did not see one from Runk Smash. I'm not going to check just because I'm really short on time. I'm sorry, Runk Smash. If you did come in with one, we'll make up for it on the next episode. But we do have one from The Sentinel. And we have, let's just do it. Oh, Cody, you got something to say, bud? No? Okay.
One art.
No. Oh my gosh. My finger slipped on the soundboard there. There's a lot of things that I shouldn't have pressed. But here we go. The lead figure's knightly armor glistens in the hot sun. A large shield is slung across his back. Behind him is a big barbarian and sleek samurai. The shield knight speaks to the druid assembly. Where is the burning man? There it is. Thank you to the Sentinel. Lots of references there. Appreciate it. And appreciate all of you who came in with your talent. It contributes to the show. Again, it is content, folks. It is content. It is your content. It's your podcast. You get a podcast. You get a podcast. Yeah, there you go. So thank you very much. If you have something, please submit it to canarycryradio@gmail.com or canarycryradio@protonmail.com. Let's move on. Let's do our last little story here and get out of here.
It's cold, Basil. It's cold. Antarctica, go first.
Snowstorm. Antarctica. Ice scientists are penguins.
Antarctica, they're opening the abyss.
DailyMail.co.uk headline. Inside the underwater laboratory, 32 feet below the surface, below the frozen surface of the Arctic Ocean, where a daredevil French adventurer plans to live for 6 months, following in the footsteps of his hero, Jacques Cousteau. Ooh. Now, the obvious thing to point out first here, 32 feet below the frozen surface of the Arctic Ocean. Why significant? Because so you might say, wait a minute, why isn't it 33? You see, this underwater laboratory begins at the 33rd feet level under the frozen surface of the Arctic Ocean. So yeah, see, you don't want to start after the 33. You got to start at 33 feet. Imagine spending 6 months in an underwater laboratory buried 32 feet beneath the surface of the frozen Arctic Ocean. Sound terrifying? Well, that is exactly what French adventurer Alban Michon is planning to do if he can secure 14 million euros, that's about 12.2 million pounds, funding in time for a project's launch in 2025. The 45-year-old hopes that his innovative oceanographic and spatial research base will allow scientists to better understand the impact of global warming on the region. I don't even care if that's really the case. All I know is this guy right here, the French adventurer Alban Michon, knows how to make the money, knows how to get the cash flow, because he needs quite a bit to make this happen. So what do? We're doing it to understand the impact of global warming. Cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. That's how you make the money. He also hopes to gain a new perspective on the ocean itself by following in the footsteps of his hero, Jacques-Yves Cousteau, the late oceanographer. In 1965, Cousteau created an underwater base off Saint-Jean-Cap-Ferrat in France, where oceanographers lived for a month. And then it's got this picture of the ambitious laboratory that will be under the water here. And when you have an overview, like an overhead view of this thing. Cody, are you okay, bud? Hang on, I got to sneeze. No. Mute buttons are awesome. When you look at the overhead view of it, it is shaped like the Starship Enterprise. It's got like some panels. It looks like solar panels or something on either side of there's like a motor, and then it sticks out into the main body area where it has the cage, and it's actually like a tube. It's got like a picture of the research base. It's going to measure 78 feet by 7.5 feet in a little tube. and feature a panoramic view of the sea at the front of it. Ooh, a panoramic view. Yay. There's a little video showing some of the things here. And what got my attention with this article is not so much that this guy is doing it. I mean, yeah, it's cool. He's doing it or whatever. And there's a picture of him, is the adventurer. But it's sort of the takeaway here at the end. I thought I highlighted it, but maybe I didn't. The daredevil adventurer wants to build a second base above ground so that those in the underwater lab have a 24/7 connection to a support team, while also creating a meeting bubble underwater capsule that acts as an intermediary between the two. He said this would then be able to take doctors to the laboratory in case of an emergency. And journalists would also be able to visit the base to interview the scientists. And they gotta be accessible. Okay, so the thing that this is called Biodysseus. Biodysseus. Like the Odyssey, the Odysseus, but with bio in front of it. That's the Biodysseus. Biodysseus. Kind of hard to say. And it's just this very epic sounding project here. And wow, what was it? I thought I had something highlighted. Maybe it was in the text version of the article here. Let me just check real quick. Oh, I can't get the text version. What is going on? Well, anyway, the idea of Odysseus or Biodysseus is interesting because, of course, you have the word Odysseus, king of Ithaca at the time of the Trojan War, son of Laertes and Antilochia, from Greek Odysseus, a name of unknown origin. And he's angry, begrieved, grumble in folk etymology. Also Ulysses, Latin name for Odysseus, from Latin Ulysses, famous for wandering as well as craftiness and ability at deceit. Where's my button? Where's my ding? There it is. Yeah. The ability to deceit. Yeah. So what's this underwater lab for anyway? Oh gosh, I can't find the part. So there was a part in here that talked about how they would kind of be in a state of not hibernation. What was it? Gestation, almost like pregnancy. So hold on, I thought I totally had the proper version of this, but let me be real quick here and see if I can pull it up again. I apologize. Oh, and also, by the way, just real quick, I'm not going to read any reviews, but the reviews coming in, thank you. Keep them coming in. We will have plenty to read as Basil gets back. But right now we're not gonna do it just because I'm short on time here today. Let me see here. Let me see if I can find it on the text version. Come on, text version, pull up. No text version. Okay. Let me see if I can find it. Meets several objectives, modular, scalable, long-lasting, autonomous. Oh yeah, it's autonomous as possible. Extreme environments, beneficial for space agencies. Always the underwater stuff benefiting space. Right? I always thought that was interesting as well. Where is it? Man, I can't find it. Maybe it's earlier in the article. Let's see. After 6 months, it'll start to melt. Oh, here we go. Found it. Thank you. Sorry for that. He said, and this is the guy again, he said it would allow scientists to experience an environment a bit like a fetus in its mother's tummy. And that is very interesting because a lot of the imagery, the symbolism of, the New World Order types, specifically Lady Gaga did that whole thing where she's like in an egg and it was like the rebirth of humanity and all that kind of stuff. So I find it very fascinating that they're creating a lab that starts at 33 feet underwater. This guy wants to be in there for 6 months and he gets to examine the ocean floors at the Arctic, and it'll be like a fetus inside of a mother's womb. Interesting. And it creates some kind of data collection thing for space. So are they trying to say space is kind of like inside a mother's womb? And also really kind of tells you maybe why the end times is sort of it's given to us, especially in the book of Revelation, in the analogy of birth pangs. This sort of analogy there of it goes back to the fall of man and, the curse on women to have pain in childbirth and stuff. But also Revelation 12, it talks about, the offspring of of Israel, basically. And I'm not going to get into all that theology there, but pregnancy being sort of a theme here of the end times. I just think it's fascinating how the secular world continue to pick up on these little things that were there biblically from the beginning. That's been the theme here today. Is just all these stories, transhumanism, underwater laboratories under the Arctic Ocean, whatever it may be. There's some kind of tie to biblical references, biblical eschatological references. And actually, I want to try to coin a term, a word, as it were. And I don't know that anybody's going to pick it up or make it something that people can state. But the word is, what happened to my word? Oh, there it is. I put it down because I knew I would forget it. Eschatomics, pertaining to eschatology or the end of things. Eschatomics. There's economics. Let's start a whole category called eschatomics, or sort of the pertaining to or the workings of eschatology. And because I think that can frame the conversation in a more academic way. We're not just talking about end times, Bible prophecy. People get turned off by phrases like that. But if let's discuss biblical eschatomics, then people might be a little more interested. Like, oh, what's biblical eschatomics? So there you go. Something like that. All right. I need to get out of here. Interestingly enough, I am going to be attending our church Oktoberfest event. So I don't think I have a lederhosen. Is that what they're called? And I don't have the full get up, but there will be fellow church members in the full get up. So, gotta prepare for that. Gonna go have some fun tonight with the wife and the church family over there. So hopefully I don't get into any trouble while I'm there, because what I like to bring up in conversations, if the conversation comes up, if there's an opportunity, Nephilim penguins, eschatomics. That's what. Oh, hey, Gons, what do you do for I have an eschatomics podcast. That's how you could spread the show too. By the way, folks, you can go up to your friends, family, people that may not agree with your worldview. You can go up to them and say, "Hey, look, I found this podcast, and all they do is talk about eschatomics." And I'm like, "Ooh, what's that?" I'm like, yeah, that's right. You got to listen. You got to listen to know what eschatomics is. So yeah, there you go. All right. Before we get out of here, first thing I want to do is thank our producers who have come in with their time. We've thanked the people coming in with their treasure. We've thanked the people coming in with their talent. Now we want to thank people that come in with their time, starting with the Clippies. Clippy on those videos. Thanks. Yeah, the Clippies are the ones who are taking the long show and snipping them up and putting it on the Clips channel. That's Emsworth, Faye, Liverin, and Epsilon. Thank you, the three of you, for continuing to do that. And I do want to build that team more. We need more people to get in there and not just do the clips, just the short clips, but maybe do like short clips. Because let's be honest, folks. We know that the attention span of people right now, I think it's down to 2.5 seconds. I'm not kidding about that. I think the numbers came out and it's 2.5 seconds is like the average attention span of people looking at stuff online, which makes sense with all the TikToks and the Snapchats and all that kind of stuff. But we should try to tailor some content for those folks too. They're yearning for truth. They're yearning for a deep dive on eschatomics. They just don't know it yet. So yeah, we'll get around to that. But in the meantime, thank you, Emsworth, Fayliver, and Epsilon. You've trailblazed the path to, doing the producership in this way and creating clips for the channel and the podcast here. Thank you so much for all of you for doing that. Really appreciate it. And on that note, we would like to thank our timestampers.
Timestamp, it's hard work. Timestamp.
Christine C. was the one that did it for episode 546. Thank you, Christine C. And thank you to all the timestampers out there. We also want to thank our social media folk.
The social media consultant.
Thanks so much.
Social media, follow us.
Dame Miss G of the OV in Deep Rivers has been reposting our content on social media, taking the charge there, but we do have other folks we're planning to bring into the fold there and develop that part of our presence online. We just can't do it all. We need help. We need producers out there who can help us. So, I think we made the call out. There's a few people that we have contacted back, and I think we are in the process of getting all that put together. So look for that. But in the meantime, thank you, Dame Miss G of the OV in Deep Rivers. We also have meetups coming up.
Canary Cry meetup.
Super dovish, super fishy. The Bald Eagle State Forest, Pennsylvania meetup is tomorrow. So if you're in that general area, contact dovemirari@gmail.com. Or just show up. Just show up, hang out. Uh-oh. What happened? Oh, no. I lost my... Oh, no. My page of meetups has disappeared. Oh, no. Okay. Well, hold on. I've completely lost it. Let me go back to the meetups page here. Okay. Yeah. Do that. The Rospeltia meetup is happening tomorrow. Rospeltia 2. We also have Ottawa Valley meetup happening. That's Dame Miss G of the OV and Deep Rivers leading that one. That'll happen on the 22nd. That is next Saturday, a week from today. There's also Maryville, Indiana on November 5th. Phoenix, Arizona, November 4th and 5th. And Silver Dollar City, Missouri, December 11th. And if you don't see one happening in your general area, then what you can do is choose a location, figure out a date and time, make a flyer, promote it, do one yourself, be the point man or point woman for another meetup in your area. And guarantee that somebody will show up. I don't know. I don't want to put like hard guarantees, but there's a good chance, if you're in the United States especially, that somebody will show up. So do that. Go to canarycrymeetups.com to get all the information.
This is fun.
Reviews are coming in hot. They're still rolling in. I don't know how many we have since last time, but it's a handful. And we really appreciate it. And I must say, at least on the US chart here, we're at 725 ratings on Apple Podcasts. Somebody will get the 777 rating. Just keeping that in mind. Somebody within the next, 50? Yeah, 52 reviews will be the 777th rating and review. So just keep that in mind. Work your way towards that. I know some people might hold back to do it because of that, but don't wait. Just make it happen now. And we'll catch up on all of these once Basil gets back, and we'll sprinkle it throughout the episodes in the future. All right. Links Jam. Thank you for the links. Appreciate that. And that's it, folks. I think we did another show. Again, a little bit shorter today. Well, still about 2.5 hours, all said and done. So we did cover all the segments. So there's that. So all we ask is that you share the show, folks. If you want to do a underwater study, get a underwater laboratory about 32 feet beneath the surface, hang out, and get into some kind of fetal state. And then once you come up, you can pop up like you're popping out of a big birthday cake and say, hey, have you heard of Canary Cry News Talk? It's the best podcast. And they talk about eschatomics. And then people will be like, what? You guys are all weird and crazy. You can do that, or you can do it the old-fashioned way, which is you just walk up to him, you grab him by the cage, then you shake him.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
Ask Noah. Why? What did Noah know? He was Tamim. Unblemished. What do you mean, unblemished? He was not genetically all messed up. That's right. He didn't mingle with different kinds. All right. I better get out of here. All right. Thank you very much, everybody. Appreciate you hanging out, listening, watching. The show just keeps chugging along. We're almost at 550 episodes, which is crazy. We're getting there. Yeah, there's not much else. I think Basil will be back on Monday. I'm hoping. At a certain point, I'm kind of getting to that point where it's like, all right, co-host, let's go. Let's make it happen, buddy. What do we need to do? Do we need to give you some sugar? Like, what needs to happen here? Get you in here. Otherwise, Biden's going to hunt you down. All right. Cody says that's enough. So, all right. Thank you very much, everybody. Appreciate you. Have a great weekend. God bless. Stay watchful. And make sure to think outside the cage.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Buy!
I've ordered more pills than anyone in the world.
This is the United States of America, for God's sake. Give me a break. Armageddon's on the way.
And a resounding baka flies through the air across the world. Why are you screaming like a wild bird?
Rattle their cage. You have a lot of people screaming randomly. Why don't you shout? It'll be their call out. You have a lot of people screaming randomly.
Go ahead and...
Why don't you shout?
Why are you screaming like a wild bird?
Circle back, but I'll have to circle back. Circle back, but I'll have to circle back. Circle back, but I'll have to circle back. I'm happy to circle back. I'll have to just circle back with you. We can circle back on that one. Circle back with you. It's an interesting question, but we'll circle back.
Goodbye, everybody, and that's the end. And everyone says, "Oh, that was fun." Bye. I'm out of here. Bye.
Canary cry radio.com/support